I told you about this before, but I want to give you the name of the phenomenon. It's when parents get to see what their kids are being taught in schools. Curriculum transparency. That's the term they're using now. The opponents, this is an NBC News piece, so of course you're going to get a lot of left-wing bias in the way it's framed. Just get ready for that. But the opponents of critical race theory are focusing on what they call curriculum transparency now. And this is really straightforward. This is just letting parents know what their kids are being taught. Let me just read you a little bit from this NBC piece. As state legislatures kick into gear this month, Republican governors and lawmakers who have fought to limit discussions of race in public school, that's how they describe it, oh sure, are lining up to support a new aim, curriculum transparency. Lawmakers in at least 12 states have introduced legislation to require schools to post lists of all their teaching materials online, including books, articles, and videos. The governors of Arizona, Florida, and Iowa, who have previously raised concerns about how teachers discuss racism's impact on politics and society, called for curriculum transparency laws in speeches to their legislatures this month. Indeed. Why is this even? Let's start with this. Why is this even remotely controversial? Does anyone think, what is the alternative to this? Let's just start from that perspective. And remember, this was a critical issue, critical race theory, in the Virginia win of Glenn Youngkin as the new governor and his whole team, Winsome Sears and others coming in. We had the new attorney general on earlier this week for the state of Virginia. And this whole new team is coming to Virginia, and they're doing great stuff. And part of it is getting rid of this. It's really just leftist indoctrination. I don't have kids, so I have to speak about this in the generic sense or in the theoretical sense, but I wouldn't want my kids being taught critical race theory of any kind or any sort of racial sensitivity training or anything like that in school, period. Because we know what this actually is. It is indoctrination into a kind of racial Marxism in this country, and it's wrong, and it's unethical, and it makes students feel weird, and it makes students feel like their race, whether they're white or non-white, is somehow to be a defining characteristic of who they are and how they should be treated and how they should treat others. It's wrong to do this. But put that aside for a moment. Curriculum transparency, what is the alternative to this? Curriculum secrecy, which is essentially what teachers are relying on, that they can indoctrinate children and the kids don't really, because they don't know. That's the whole point. Why do we know that the Marxists want to get the kids young? Why do the commies want to brainwash your children before they actually know what commies are? Because then it's a lot harder to undo the work, right? Then all of a sudden you're dealing with a child who's just, as they grow up and they begin to formulate their worldview, their political opinions, they're walking around saying, whose streets are streets? We need the Green New Deal. Stuff like that. All of a sudden you're saying, wait, what? Where did this come from? At that point, now you've already got a challenge on your hands. You thought you got little Timmy or little Sarah, and it's actually a little wokester running around. And this is what happens. And it certainly happens at the college level. I mean, I know so many people who say their kids come back from college and all of a sudden they're so and the indoctrination starts right away. I remember in my own college experience. See, for me, when I was at Amherst College in Massachusetts, which is a very left-wing school, it presents itself as everyone's walking around in fleece vests and playing lacrosse, but it's actually ideologically, politically very left-wing. And I didn't play lacrosse, by the way. When I remember being there, and right away there were these full-on indoctrination classes. And the indoctrination classes were on a whole range of issues, but essentially the usual diversity, inclusion, white privilege, white people are oppressors. If you're white, you have to always be conscious of the fact that you're part of the dominant paradigm in society and all this other stuff. And you say, wait, what? All these kids show up at schools. They're living in the America of today. They're saying that, that they like everybody. They don't care what anyone's skin color is or race or anything else. And they just show up. They just want to make friends. They want to hang out. They want to have a good time and learn some stuff. Oh, no, not allowed. Got to be indoctrinated right away. Well, that's at least with, 18-year-olds. What goes on in the school system right now, and we've seen it from the training materials, and always I give props to Chris Rufo of the Manhattan Institute for being the guy who really spearheaded a lot of this and got the primary source documents out there. It was so effective because they would say, oh, we're not teaching critical race theory. And then say, well, what's this whole thing about doing, calling out your privilege or doing separation of children into different racial groups, and then they get to talk about how they feel about their privilege vis-a-vis other groups, all this stuff that was being done in lots of schools across the country. And because of Zoom classes, you see, this all comes back to the idea of transparency. It was because students were at home and parents were within earshot that they started to say, huh? What are my kids being taught by this public school? Or private or parochial schools do the same stuff a lot of the time. What are they being taught? And then when they showed up at school boards, what happened? Oh, then it's, you be quiet. Your children don't belong to you. They belong to the community. Again, the commies showing their hand. They belong to the collective. You don't get to make a determination about your kids' schooling and their futures. We'll do that for you. One thing that the American people still have is a lot of parents who are protective of their children and won't take any crap when it comes to their kids. And when they're told to shut up, they know there's something wrong. And when they're told by the Biden regime that if they show up at school board meetings and voice their displeasure, which I thought was kind of the whole purpose of the school board meetings, when they're upset about something, they may end up on some kind of a terror watch list, or they're insurrectionists in education or whatever, as we saw with this Biden regime, are horrendous overreach, and obviously meant to have a chilling effect on parents speaking out against this madness, very clearly speaking out against this madness, right? And do you know what they're saying about this effort now to get curriculum transparency? I love that we've got a name for it, too, because it really allows us to hone in on this, that it will create censorship. Oh, first of all, that's kind of funny, isn't it? I thought the left loved censorship. Look what they do with social media. You've got the White House, the Biden regime running around telling big tech that you have to shut down anybody who does not go along with a preferred line when it comes to COVID restrictions, masks, all the rest of it. So they're already openly calling for censorship as part of the Biden regime, as you know. But just put that aside for a second, because the hypocrisy of the left claiming to be upset about censorship, given what they're doing during COVID, given that they wouldn't allow the Hunter Biden laptop story to be told right before the election. 10% for the big guy. Remember that? All real, all true. Oh, we thought it was hacked material. No, they didn't. Lying in the moment and now lying about it afterwards. But beyond that, why wouldn't they want to show exactly what the kids are being taught? Isn't that just basic? It's so easy now. Technology's made it easy. Show what the lesson plan is. Show what the kids are learning. Parents can then supplement it more at home. They can talk to their kids about it. This is nothing but upside. See, this is the problem they're going to have here. There is their claim of, oh, it's going to make parents. If parents are teaching something if students are being taught things by teachers that make parents uncomfortable, the parents have a right to know. The parents have a right to know. Now, yeah, maybe there's someone who's, oh, you can't teach that. And they've got some weird ideas about, the flat earth society or something. But that's not what they're worried about. The teachers' unions and the public school system want to continue to get away with teaching critical race theory, and they don't want anyone to be able to stand in the way. And all that has to happen is for people to know, parents to know what's really going on. Then the whole system starts to crumble. They can't get away with it the same way. And as I was saying, it's all upside. Not only will it prevent teachers from being able to indoctrinate kids against the wishes of their children, it goes beyond that. It means that now parents can say, oh, wow, that's so interesting. You're learning that today. Maybe we'll go to the museum and check out an exhibit that'll tie into that. Or maybe I can recommend a book, or we can read a book together that will supplement that. Or, why can't parents know? Why can't they be more involved? Because they want to indoctrinate your kids. And as true commies, they think that your kids belong to them, really, to the community. not to the parents, not to the family.